Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of Talks with Taboo. Welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. Hope everyone's having a great week. I know I'm wearing the same shirt as last week, but that's just because I recorded this episode the same day that I recorded last week's episode. A little bit of time travel for your ass. Go listen to Crawl Daddy because it's out right now, and it's a dope-ass track. And, if you like crawfish, it's a dope song to eat crawfish to. If you like talking shit about crawfish, it's a good song to listen to while talking shit about crawfish. But my guest this week is an absolute legend, dude. Literally one of the godfathers of EDM trap music and somebody I've wanted to talk to for a very long time. Cannot believe I got him on the podcast. Amazing episode right here. Hope y'all enjoy it. Love y'all. Enjoy. Come here, girl. Is that ass fat? Let me take my tongue and go back the dirt track. I met a girl and her booty tastes like strawberries. I swear to God, this could be the one that I'm marrying. Hey, hey, and she's so damn fine. I may eat that from behind. I met a girl and her booty tastes like strawberries. Joining us now is an absolute legend in the dance music, specifically the trap music grind, man. This is a guy that I've been a fan of for years and somebody I've wanted on this podcast for a very long time. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. YehMe2.
What up? What an intro,
son?
Man. What an intro. Thank you so much. That is so lovely to hear, man. I appreciate you.
Off the dome, bro. I don't even write verses.
Yo, innovator in the trap game.
Yeah, dude. Oh, what is it? Major key? No, I'm not gonna steal Khaled's words. That's fucked up. I was about to say major key. That ain't cool.
No, minor key only.
Minor keys. Yep. I mean, some DJs who've been canceled recently cannot say minor keys, but we can say minor keys for sure.
Oh damn! I don't even get the reference. Yo, I'm gonna tell you right now. I'm so far removed from like EDM and the EDM like world. I'm missing all the drama.
Dude, let's talk about that actually, because I've seen you on the Twitters. You know what I'm saying? Saying like, you were there was I don't know the tweet word from word, but you were talking about how you were almost gonna stop doing electronic music. How you were basically fed up with it, man. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, okay. So basically I said, I feel like my time in EDM is coming to a close. And a lot of that came from frustration, just feeling like I was invisible to, festival promoters. It's like leaving Flosstradamus and starting a new project was really dope for me, like creatively. And I feel like I've taken advantage of that. But the fact that Kurt continued Flosstradamus on, like, I feel like as far as promoters go, they were like, oh, there's still Flosstradamus, so it doesn't really matter. And so I didn't really get as much attention from them as I would have liked. So I was frustrated, and that tweet was posted right after the what was it? I don't know if it was EDC. They had some sort of like virtual event, and it was just all the same DJs.
Yeah. Like,
not even fuck me. Book something cool and new. Like that's it. So I just sat and I saw the lineup. I didn't watch the fest, but I saw the lineup and I was just like, oh damn, like it's literally all the same cats, even in a scenario where no one's getting paid. You don't have to fly anyone in. There's no restrictions as to who you can book for this. So when I still wasn't getting booked for events like that, I was like, you know what? I think that's it. I think I've had my like fill in EDM. And then another thing is I got into EDM accidentally. So like, making stuff for Floss, the songs that like became the first trap songs were me making beats. That was me writing a beat for a rapper and then not getting a rapper on it because no one fucked with it, and then putting it on SoundCloud to be like,
and people were like, yo, what the fuck, yo, like this shit's gnarly.
Right. Maybe these people will fuck with it. And I'll tell you, I'm so removed from that world that I labeled it trap on SoundCloud because I was like, this is a trap beat. Like it's like a Southern hip hop T.I. Jeezy trap beat to me, my interpretation of it. And so I put that up, but the kids that like were engaging with it and were seeing it didn't even know that term in relation to hip hop. They only knew that term as something new that was in relation to this genre of electronic music. So that's how the whole thing even became a thing, was just by accident. So I feel like I got into EDM accidentally, and since I wasn't really feeling it anymore, I was like, I think I'm gonna make my departure.
Yeah.
But
Dude,
not. Go ahead.
no, you go ahead, man.
I was just gonna say, not to like pigeonhole myself. It's not this. I still love making like instrumentals, and I love making like electronic music, electronica, even down tempo. There's so many genres of electronic music that I fuck with. I'm just saying, like, that big festival fire EDM scene wasn't fucking with me. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna take the message. I'm gonna take the hint, and I'm gonna go over here.
Yeah, dude. Look, we just got into that deep quick. You know what I'm saying? We got deep on that quick. I was gonna be something we work into. I love it though. That's awesome, man. Those are definitely things I wanted to talk to you about. But you know, that's crazy. Do you do you feel like you are done though? I know you were mad about the festival thing, but whenever COVID and shit's back, do you think you're gonna go back into doing the whole touring thing, or do you feel like your time of it is done?
No, no, I'll always tour, man. That's how I make my bread and butter, and that's one of the. It's funny. I got jaded on touring because I was just doing it so fucking much for so long, and this pandemic, one of the silver linings is that I've been able to take a break. So I miss the road and I miss doing shows. I miss seeing fans and whatever. So I'll always play shows, but what those shows will sound like and the music that's going to come out is what's going to change.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, dude, this festival lineups, dude. I saw a tweet where it was like, like, I totally agree. It was like the same fucking people. I saw somebody had a tweet. They're like, I didn't want to play your online festival anyway. I
Right.
thought that tweet was amazing, man. I retweeted that shit.
I'll tell you one thing is, after I posted that shit, I was getting booked. Like, after I posted that, I started getting books. I got on like 3 Insomniac streams. I got Lollapalooza after that. And I want to say, like, I always, as an older guy in the game, like, I always try and like hand down advice to the younger generation. And for me, I'm like, bruh, just make your feelings known. If I would have never said nothing, if I would have just been like, you know what, I'm just going to take this quietly and just cry in my bedroom, like, if I would have been like super just like whatever about it, I don't think anyone would have booked me or anyone would have said anything. But the fact that I spoke up and was like, yo, this is fucked up. And so many people engaged with it. It wasn't like I just said that and no one was like, whatever. It was like a lot of people were like, yeah, these lineups are pretty fucking vanilla,
Yeah.
That I feel like that actually has something to do with me ending up getting booked.
So these streams that you're doing, man. So I personally have stayed away a little bit from them just because I don't know, there's not my thing. But I've stayed away. Do you feel like those have helped you, stay on people's minds or maybe possibly even grow?
Yeah, man. I mean, the growth is obviously now in this day and age of like social media, the growth is tangible. You can actually see the numbers go up. But it's tapered off as to the amount of growth. So like when I did Digital Mirage, the first one, like I got like 5,000 followers in like an hour. It was just like, boom, just like jumped up. And then as it's going on, like Lollapalooza and whatever, it'll be like 500 followers. Like it'll still be like there'll still be growth. But it's tapered off. It's definitely the novelty of like an online festival is starting to wear off, and people are just like, can we just fucking go to a show now?
Yeah, man, that's actually something that I had tweeted about today. I wanted to see what you thought about this, dude. Actually, so I've been starting to get some offers for like these limited capacity shows, like inside of club venues and stuff like that, and. I want to do them, but I feel like the heat that I'll catch online for doing them is just not worth it at times, man. How do you feel about these clubs being these limited capacity shows?
It's such a touchy subject, man.
It's so touchy. That's what's so crazy, that it's so touchy. It's like, but these are just thoughts, like how people, because everyone feels differently about them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you where I'll say this. This is where I stand on the issue. I believe in social distancing. I believe the science I don't believe the president. I don't believe anything that the Republican Party is saying right now, like conservatives are saying right now. I think that their misinformation is fully just trying to deceive people to vote for Donald Trump a second time. But with that being said, I know a lot of musicians who aren't as fortunate as us, and they make their living show to show, you know, the kind of guys that are gigging every single weekend in the same town at the same clubs, they have residencies there, whatever. And this is a way a lot of people feed their families. So it's hard. It's tough, man. I don't know. I feel like what I don't like to see is when there's promised social distancing and then there's not.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like, if you're gonna do it, you got to do it in a way that is like foolproof, or at least really, really making an effort to actually implement it, versus that shit that happened with the chain smokers where a bunch of people were supposed to stay in their cars, but they just used that like a parking lot and then fucking crowded the gate. Like, I don't know. That's just fucked up.
Yeah, I definitely feel like at that point they should definitely have had said something on the microphone. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Like, straight up. I know I would. I'd be like, yo, you're not social distancing. Everyone fall back. And they're your fans. So they'll go back to their cars.
Yeah, they'll pretty much listen to nobody, but if the guy on stage says something, they'll probably listen. You know what I mean?
So you'll be in the club, you'll be like, nope, hey, y'all two are too close. You pull the music down. You guys are sitting too close.
It's like two dudes holding hands. I'm like, stop that, and they think it's like a homophobic thing, but I'm just trying to stop the coronavirus spread, and it's just, and then I'm canceled.
No, not because you're gay. Because it's bad corona behavior.
Yeah, and then I'm just canceled for trying to be on top of the germs.
That's it. You know, listen, it's kind of hard these days. You know, you get canceled for pretty much anything, so you might as well get canceled trying to, stop a pandemic. That's a good way to get canceled.
Yeah, I definitely. There's definitely a lot worse ways to get canceled. That's for damn sure.
There's a lot worse ways. Yeah, for sure. Catch me up on some of the EDM drama. What's happening? What's going on in the streets?
What's going on in these streets? All right, so Bass Nectar got canceled. You know, I
saw that. There was audio messages and shit, right?
Yeah, you know, he it's pretty easy not to bang anybody under the age of 18, but apparently not. You know what I'm saying? Okay. You know, also treating people bad. There's just evidence about people. There's evidence about Space Jesus. Who else, dude? Everyone's just on their toes.
Right. So these are all sexual assault and like rape allegations, right?
Yeah, and also just being just a bad human being as well. You know, just not treating women. A lot of them is just mistreating women, and yeah.
That's not good, man.
It's dude. It's like, didn't your mama fucking teach you how to treat a lady? Be a gentleman. God damn.
I mean, you know what? It's crazy because it's that whole like rock star mentality where people feel invincible, like they can do anything, like they're a god. And it's not just that. It's that mixed with someone who's a fucking dork and like a loser. And then you put the two halves together, and then there's this massive overcompensation of like, I'm the shit. No, I'm the fucking shit. And yeah, they use people for power and like use other people's bodies to feel better about themselves. So those are the cancellations that I'm like,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome.
Yeah, we don't need you around here. You can't be doing shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Cancellation based off of opinions. That's the one thing that I'm kind of like,
Right.
We need other opinions. We need them. You know?
Yeah, that's something that I'm really big on. Is like, we don't know each other that well, and I guarantee there's some things that we don't agree on, right? But I still fucking have a beer with you. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, like,
man, it was me and my homie, and then his dad was in town, and so we were all having a little bonfire out back at my house, and him and his dad were getting into it, like politically. Like the dad is very pro-police, very Republican, and then the son and me are like farther on the left. And so they're getting into it, and it's getting kind of heated, and I'm interrupting them. I'm like, yo, like don't let it get too much. And they both stopped and faced me and were like, oh no, this is just how we talk. Like they're like, we're not fighting, this is just like our discourse.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's dope. Like,
yeah.
they know that they disagree, and they love each other. Obviously, a father and son, and it's not some weird father and son shit. Like they like are super tight, but they are on completely opposite ends of the political spectrum, and we're having like an active debate about it. And there was some shit that we were saying that was like persuading him and like helping him understand because he's a boomer, you know.
Yeah.
Like he's on Facebook, he gets everything, all of his information from Facebook. So we were like helping him understand shit, and he was listening to us and like learning from it. So I feel like that's where the opinion cancellation thing kind of becomes a problem, where it's like, yo, we need people to be able to express their opinions honestly and then have a healthy discourse about said opinions, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you got to get people learned too. You know what I'm saying?
And if people are too afraid to have an opinion, they won't change the opinion. They'll just fucking put it in. It'll just be some secret 4chan shit, you know?
And also, there's also some people out there, it doesn't matter what the fuck type of evidence you have, you're not going to change their opinions. But it doesn't make them bad people or cancelable. It just makes them believe in something that they believe in. That's totally cool.
Dude, absolutely, you know? And as long as that belief isn't harming other people, I'm totally fine with it. If that belief is causing harm, then I'm not into it.
Right. There was something that you had said in there that I kind of like giggled about. You're like, yeah, they're father and son, not on some weird father and son shit. I'm like, what does that mean? You said,
What?
you said,
some
yeah, they're
weird
father and son, not
shit?
on some weird father and son shit. I'm like, whoa, what do you mean by that?
I'm okay. So what I mean by that is that they have like a healthy father-son relationship. It's not like he's like alienated from him, or like they
Okay.
don't talk, or they're not close, or they haven't talked in years and they're getting back together for this.
Right.
Like they're a very tight-knit family. That they're like the 1950s Norman Rockwell painting of a family. This family is. And I love them because like my family's not like that at all. I grew up in like a super dysfunctional artist family. Everyone in my family is a creative in some way or another. So like all these emotions and all this shit, and we love each other, but it's just like a fucking circus. These guys are way more like straighty 180, like boop, boop, we're a family. Hey, hi Jane. Hi. The son's name is Scott. It's like, hi Scott. You know, like they're just a very traditional family, but they disagree as much as two people can on the political spectrum. And it was cool to see them have a disagreement and a discourse that even got heated at points. But the moment I was like, hey guys, break it up, they were like, they both stopped and looked at me in the same way and were like, oh no, this is just how we talk.
I'm like, bro, you chill. We're just talking here.
Up.
We're bonding over here, bro. Why are you intervening?
Right, straight up. They were just like, yo, like they were like, just so you know, like that's not a fight. Like you'll know when we're having a fight. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, right. That's awesome, man. Well, look, I never write questions for these podcasts, okay? I don't write questions. I just like to get to know people and talk to them a little bit. But, you know, there's stuff that I'm genuinely curious about, right? And, you know, because I want to take it back for you, because I remember seeing you whenever you were in Flosstradamus. It was 2013 at BOO Fest, okay? And it was actually my first festival and first electronic event to go to, right? And I just remember, you know, trap. I didn't know trap was like a new thing. I mean, everything at that point was new to me, right? Everything was new. I remember what was getting me was like the haze in the back of the songs. I was like, bro, those are lit for some reason. Those got me hyped.
Yeah.
But like, I want to talk about a little bit of that journey to like, you know, whenever you, like you said, you weren't trying to make electronic music. You were just making hip hop beats. And then it transitioned into the electronic world. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was that like? And how was the electronic world kind of perceiving that and taking that in the very beginning?
It was a bizarre journey. I'll try. It's been so long now. I'll try to recollect, you know, exactly what I was feeling and what was going on.
Yeah.
Flosstradamus had been around for almost 7 years at the point of trap. So like when you saw us in 2013, we've been a group for 8 years, and you know, people knew us a little bit. We were mostly known for like parties and mashups and doing like our DJ sets were more successful and famous than our original music. But that was just the landscape at the time. If you had a dope party in your city, you could actually tour that party, you know, like, you know, I don't know, like Brownies and Lemonade is an example. Like, you know, like that is an example of the contemporary version of what it was like in like 2005, 6, 7. when Flaws first came on the scene. But as the landscape shifted and EDM became a thing in America, electronic music became a thing and a popular genre in America, the festival culture, electronic festival culture started to bubble. We weren't a part of that at all. We weren't included in that conversation. And so we started just sort of slow down and not getting booked as much, sort of getting replaced by like dubstep DJs, and so we took a year to just be like, what are we going to do? And Kurt was living in Brooklyn and I was living in Chicago, and we didn't really even talk much. But I was learning how to produce. I had never really produced. I had made mashups, but I never like made like beats or anything really. And so I started making stuff and just like fucking around with sampling weird shit. I was listening to a lot of hard style. So I was like sampling all the hard style shit I was listening to. I was listening to a lot of like Arab music and Lunis and shit that I was like inspired by Clams Casino. Like I was like listening to these kind of like guys that were doing electronic and hip hop production in a different way.
Yeah.
And I felt really inspired by them. So I kind of took that, what I learned there from listening to them and put that on top of like really maximal hard style. A lot of them were doing it over like really minimal, kind of like alternative sounding, like weird electronica. And I was like, let me make it for stadiums. And so that's where you got Total Recall and the X album and that stuff. So I was making these tracks. I was sending them out to like homies. So sending it to like Nick Catchdubs and A-Track and Paul Devereaux, who at the time was at Mad Decent. And Paul was like, oh, I fucking love all this stuff. Like we have a new offset of Mad Decent called Jeffries, where it's just free music. We're just like releasing free edits and bootlegs and random shit. Like we would love to put this out. And I was like, all right, cool. There's a home for it already. Like, great. So, Jeffries fucked with it. They released the Total Recall EP, which was like Total Recall, Mota, and like one other song. And I put it up on our SoundCloud. They put it up on theirs, and it like fucking blew up. So like, as far as like artists to fans, it was dope. But with any new genre, all of the like musicians, like a majority of the musicians were like hating on it straight away. And one of the biggest things that happened was Total Recall was a Headhunters sample, and Headhunters was like, "No, I don't approve this." The hardstyle community came at us. People just were attacking us. So it was kind of amazing. Like as soon as the shit like took off and people started to engage with it, and it got popular enough to like break out, all of like electronic EDM tried to close the door on it and shut it down. And it was amazing because all that drama and shit did was bring more eyes on the songs. And when people heard the music, they fucked with it.
Yeah.
So it was cool. It was like the genre started, it got fucking collapsed upon. Even like Lunis and the people that I was inspired by were hating on it and being like, trap is dead. This shit is not like, this isn't cool. This is like the lame version of it because it wasn't like cool enough for them. And so it was like from every angle, it was trying to get shut down, but it connected so much with the people and the fans that it just fucking blew up. So it was interesting. And then, I don't know, I'm probably getting off topic of your original question.
No, it's actually, you're right on it. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, you're right on it. Yeah.
That was like the inception of it. That was how it was received. And what we did with it was just go direct to fan. We weren't EDM artists. We weren't in the EDM world. So we didn't have those connections to worry about. When like EDM artists started hating on us, it wasn't like there was any bridges to be burned. We knew A-Track from fucking back in the day. We knew Diplo from back in the fucking day. It wasn't like we knew them as artists in EDM capacity. We knew them as artists that would play our little garage parties that we would throw in Chicago with 100 people in an alley that would get shut down by the police. Like that was the relationship we had to those people that are now, and at that time were the gatekeepers to electronic music, or at least the cooler side of it. So once those guys signed on, once we had A-Track playing our stuff, Diplo playing our stuff, Major Lazer, obviously the original Don remix was huge for us. Like once those people were on board, then there was no stopping us, and we just fucking took over.
You know what's really crazy about those songs that you mentioned? It's like you play those in a festival setting now, they still pop off. You know what I mean? Like it's just because it's like that minimal, but like still energetic, and it's just got like that authenticity. It's just fucking it's fun, man. Still to this day.
I like to say, man, I'll argue there's something to be said about creativity in electronic music, and when you take it away and you focus more on the technical aspect of it, you might be able to make something that like slaps in that moment because you're almost able to like sonically recreate something so accurately. Like, oh, if I'm an amazing producer, engineer, and I listen to a rhythm song, I can recreate it. But always the creative shit is what lasts over the time. You can't create a classic without doing something completely out of the box. And that is, what that original Don remix was. It was something that had never been done before on that level. It was outside of the box. I took a risk to make it, and here we are. And when I made that record, I knew nothing about production. I knew nothing at all about the technical side of it. I just was like, I want it to sound like this. I like slammed 808 samples, like Lex Luger fucking 808 samples over it. And just like everything was peaking. Everything was like stupid and looked stupid. And Kurt came in and mixed it. And I kept having him be like, no, I was like, yo, like it needs to sound shittier. It sounds too good. That was my biggest thing with him, is like working with Kurt, is like, he's a really good engineer. He's like super, super, super into like downloading whatever the newest VSTs are. Like that's his hobby, is collecting that shit. And shout out Kurt. He did a great mix down. But what I would end up doing is stemming it out with like 3 stems. I would mix the drums and stem the drums and send them to him. I would mix all of the leads and send them to him. And then I would take any FX and I'd stem those and send them to him. And I'd let him mix those because the level, everything was hitting where I wanted it to hit. And then he would add whatever he'd add, his secret sauce to fucking make it sound, festival ready. But for me, there was so much control I needed over the mix to make it sound shitty. Like
like those, like, not sidechaining correctly, or just like not EQing the low end out of certain things might sound good. A little bit of digital distortion.
Just a little bit, or even a lot. Even like an overwhelming amount of distortion or something where like someone would be like, did you, I remember like when we first started touring, like after the trap era, people would come up and be like, did you mean to have that loud, or da-da-da, like producers would. And I'd be like, yes, fuck yes.
Fuck yeah,
like putting the damn son, where'd you find this in there after the drop was so different. You don't hear that in any song before or after. If it's a damn son, where'd you find this, or like some kind of sample, it's on beat. It like is part of it, There's a fill or something. It's like, damn son, where'd you find this? Like it's like a part of the song.
Yeah.
That was just like, I just took the sample from like a ripped like MP3 of something I found it in and just like chucked it in there.
Dude, so that's wild. So did you ever get in, like, especially back then, like, even now, illegally sampling is so much fun, and you can get like the dopest stuff with unclear samples. Did you ever have anybody come at you for anything for some uncleared samples, or were you able to get a lot of things cleared?
No, most of it was people coming at us at things like for the hardstyle stuff that we were sampling in the beginning. And even that stuff was just on SoundCloud, and this was before SoundCloud wouldn't delete shit. We were in the peak heyday of SoundCloud, where you could become a fucking festival artist. Like Flosstradamus literally built a Vegas residency level, multi-million-dollar crazy career off of SoundCloud. Like that was it, before Spotify, before whatever. So the artist came at us, and the most they could do was a cease and desist. So you would delete the song off of SoundCloud, but it was already out there. It was like on YouTube. It was like there was Mediafire links and shit. This was like back just like, I don't know. It's crazy. It was only 8 years ago, but the internet was like the wild, wild west compared to what it is now. It's so policed now. Yeah. And algorithms are so much better at noticing a sample that even if it's pitched, like they'll still catch shit. So we didn't really have a lot of flack for samples except for from the actual artists themselves. And even when they would do that, it would bring so much attention to us from the drama of like them calling us out on like Twitter that it was beneficial. But now it's just like a fucking algorithm silently takes it down in the night, and you get a
Yeah.
strike against your SoundCloud, and like you lose fans. It's super whack.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, like I have so many tracks that like that labels are like, yo, we cannot release this right now. I'm like, fuck it, I'll release it then. It's dope. Just because of this, sometimes I like, like I sampled like Goku doing a Kamehameha. You know what I mean? Like that shit sounds
Yeah.
gnarly over a drop, man.
Oh my god, it's so stupid. It's so fucking retard. That's not the word I'm going to use. It's so stupid. I'm not going to get canceled. It's so fucking dumb. And it's holding the creativity of music back so far to not have a good sort of precedent for sample clearances. There needs to be some sort of like payout system that is just, this is the law. You can sample anything, and the artist that you sample makes X. It
Yeah.
could be 80%. It could make whatever, but just a precedent where sampling is embraced and everyone's making money. Shit, the label makes money. The label that was initially putting that record out gets money. And if that label's defunct, or if the fucking, person died, their estate gets money. Apparently the Amen break, I forget what the name of that band was, but there's a song called Amen, and the break in it, the break beat is the foundation for drum and bass. The boom boom. It's fucking in every. I mean, you've heard it a million times. Every drum and bass song, and someone made like a GoFundMe or some sort of like campaign to get the family of that drummer money because that sample was used royalty free so much, and so people donated, and I think the thing made like $1 million. Like,
Yeah, that's fucking gnarly, man. Hell yeah.
you know what I'm saying? But if it was just something automatically, that shouldn't even need to exist. In 2020, there could be an algorithm that is like sample detected. It's from a fucking Wu-Tang song, and they take a percentage automatically from the song and they send it to fucking whoever it needs to go to.
That'd be super gnarly, but what another thing that's super fucked up is actually the percentage that the artist is getting. You know what I mean? There's been a lot of stuff coming out about how much Spotify is making off of artists and how much we're actually making on each song. It's super fucked up.
I posted a meme recently that was like landmark moment, Spotify pays first artist $100. Like, or no. Oh no, it was like Spotify pays first $100 to artists. Like, it's fractions of a fractions of a fractions of a fraction of a penny. But here's the end of that conversation. Making money off of music hasn't been a thing for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, even in 2010, post Napster world, like, bands tour to make money, artists tour to make money, but there's plenty of money to be made if you're a successful artist. And Spotify gatekeeping who gets listened to, which kind of artists get listened to, algorithms gatekeeping what you hear next, all of that kind of shit, and the playlisting and all that world is really stifling as to creativity and all the artists that are out there right now. Whereas I felt like SoundCloud was way more democratic in its listenership and the way that it would promote artists. It wasn't so much like, here's our agenda, we're going to promote this artist.
Yeah.
Spotify is the new radio. Spotify feels like fucking your pop station in whatever city you live in. It's like Live Nation is controlling what you hear and promoting the tours. It's starting to feel like a monopoly. Whereas back in the Spotify days, or back in the SoundCloud days, rather, like, artists who were like Hoochie, like an artist like Hoochie.
Ooh, yeah.
Who is just a small little underground artist could blow the fuck up just off of how dope they were. There was no crazy marketing campaign or budget or like, oh my God, I got to suck fucking the head of playlisting at fucking Spotify's dick to get on the worldwide playlist or whatever the fuck. There was none of that. It was just a voting system on if you were dope or if you weren't.
Yeah.
And that.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It'll keep going. That camera died, so I'll switch to another one. It's good.
That at the time was, oh shit, I got a new angle, whole new angle. That at the time I felt like was really sick. Now it feels like it's not so much, and I feel like the music and the creativity is suffering. I know I'll speak just for myself as an artist. Man, I'm like, damn, I gotta like go to Splice and get like some sort of like generic sound that sounds close to the sample I want to. Like, could you imagine a Kanye album? Could you imagine a fucking Kanye or Wu-Tang album where instead of those samples, they had to use things that were like close to,
Yeah,
like,
right.
and we're like studio perfect. Like,
I don't know, man. Splice Sound's got some
kill me.
gnarly ass samples though.
They do. No, like shout out Splice.
Shout out Splice, dude, making life easier.
They really do. They really do. And they come in handy. But what I'm saying is nothing beats the original sample. Nothing.
Yeah.
It's like when I say I want my music to be shitty. It's like when I say I want that song to sound shitty in a way. Like you can make it sound shitty intentionally. You can like try and get it there, but unless it's what the artist actually intended, then it's not the same. It's like I've had samples replayed and I have to go back and I'm like, too perfect. Make it like
Shittier.
looser and like shittier. Like whether it be the audio quality or whether it be the timing and shit. Like it's like, no, you gotta get it. And so I don't know. A replayed sample is like when you have a stunt double sitting next to the Brad Pitt. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, which one do you want? You want Brad Pitt or do you want the stunt double?
Obviously,
or the Brad Pitt impersonator?
You obviously want Brad Pitt. What person out there does not want Brad Pitt? Okay.
I had a dream that I was in a I had a dream segue that I was in a movie recently, and I was hanging out with Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Fuck yeah!
And it was a really endearing and nice dream because they were just like boys, like they were like so like bromance, and I was like, this makes me happy. Like these guys are just like two normal dudes that just
awesome,
enjoy
dude.
each other's company.
I didn't know where that story was gonna go. I had a dream about Brad Pitt.
And then I sucked him off.
And then I sucked him off, and I woke up so happy.
I was so stoked.
That's where I thought that story was gonna go, man. Well, look, dude, we talked about, whenever those gatekeepers were kind of starting to let you in with the trap music stuff, man. But I want to talk about a little bit whenever it started expanding. You started hearing it everywhere, man, where you're like, other artists are like now making it big off of, doing exactly what you had did and just, making these big festival trap bangers. Like, what was that like whenever you started hearing it from other people?
That shit was amazing.
Yeah.
Like just individually, I only speak for myself in this situation, but it's like I knew the circumstances under which I made those songs. I knew I made that shit like in my bedroom for fucking real. And so I feel like every bedroom producer who's heard their shit on like EDC or on the radio or whatever, or had someone big make an edit of their shit has the same feeling. It's like, I don't know. It's like, is this reality? Is this really it? And I don't know what that feels like now, because obviously there's so much content, there's so many musicians and so whatever, that someone can make an edit with your song and it doesn't mean that you're going to be successful or even be known for it. But at that time, I feel like if someone made an edit with your song or DJ started playing your shit, you blew up off that.
Yeah.
So I kind of like, 7 years into the game was like, damn, like I was about to throw in the hat and just be like, I'm done with this, like the DJ shit's kind of over. I'll go another direction. And now all of a sudden I'm about to start touring the world and like going crazy. So it was dope. It was super dope. And like, shout out Diplo, shout out A-Track. Yeah, because those dudes had really made it into that world. They had broken out of the like Justice era of electronic music in America, because electronic music was existing in America. You had Soulwax, you had Justice, you had Hollertronics with Diplo and Low Budget. You had a lot of A-Track. You had people that were doing it. I Heart Comics, Frankie Chan. You had Dim Mak. there was the existence of it, but it was so underground. It was such
Yeah.
a small percentage of the market share of music. Pop music was still the big shit. It was Fergie then. That was like people were like, damn, y'all heard that new Fergie? Like that was it. Like,
Now they're like you heard. Now they're like you hear about that wet ass pussy.
Right. No. That wet ass Fergie, that shit snapped.
Now
And
it's
so,
all
like,
about that wet ass pussy, dude. Times have changed.
ooh, but that song though, man,
So gnarly, it's so hot.
And that sample makes that fucking beat. There's some hoes in this house. There's some ghetto house, Chicago, Midwest. That's some DJ Dion. That's some DJ Godfather. There's some hoes in this house.
I thought it was whores. I thought it said there's some hoes. I thought there was whores in this house, or is it hoes? Is it whores or hoes?
It's whores. It's
okay,
whores.
Okay.
But hose is like I don't know, it's like the modern interpretation of it. But that sample is used. That's not a recreation. That's not a replay. That's not some shit from Slice. That's a fucking sample. And just because, if I'm sure if I made a beat that got used by Megan Thee Stallion and fucking Cardi B, the label would be like, whatever.
They're gonna get it cleared. Yeah, they got they're gonna get it cleared. Check. Yeah.
Yeah. But for us normal guys that are just trying to put music out for ourselves, they're not fucking with that shit whatsoever. So, when you have those kind of records popping off, you see how samples are treated. And I guarantee you, if you had just some me being like, there's some hoes in this house, like trying to recreate that vocal, it would not slap the same. It needs to be the sample. The sample makes the beat.
It does, absolutely, 100%.
What was your question though? You asked me a question.
I don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows? Dude? Like I said, I have nothing prepared. Like, you know what I'm saying? This is just me.
You got
coming
a bald
in.
eagle. You got Spider-Man.
I got Drew Brees and Daryl Dixon.
Okay, Drew Brees and who's that? Daryl who?
Daryl Dixon from The Walking Dead.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, I didn't watch that show.
I'm a massive Walking Dead fan, dude. Still to this day.
Chandler, what's the dude's name? Chandler Riggs.
Mm-hmm.
Huge Flosstradamus fan.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah,
huge EDM fan.
Huge,
bruh. I met him hella times. Like, it was funny because I didn't even watch that show, so I did not know him at all. And like kicked it with him hella times, and I think he enjoyed neither did Kurt. I think he enjoyed the fact that we didn't know him and we're like not starstruck at all. We were like, what up, like 15-year-old child? Like,
there's a picture out there with y'all, isn't there?
Oh, guaranteed.
Yeah, I think I've seen it, dude. I know
he was a hoodie boy. Like he was like a hoodie boy.
He had the hoodie. I actually remember seeing him wearing the hoodie. It was him and his girlfriend at the time going to the show. No, man, I fucking, like I said, massive fan of that show, and I love Chandler Riggs, man.
Okay,
that's crazy you didn't know.
That's awesome. Dude, I didn't know
awesome,
at all. I love zombies, and after he started following us, I started trying to watch it, and I didn't end up fucking with that show. Not because it wasn't a good show, but because, you got to find a show at the right time in your life where you have time to like consume the content, and it wasn't the right time.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome though, dude. Dude, so you go from this, the journey continues, okay? The journey continues to where you're starting to make these massive, like very aggressive, because it started to be like, in the beginning it felt like it was more of these, minimal experimental things that were just hype, but then it started getting a little bit of the aggressor type of trap to where you had like Mosh Pit and then like Prison Riot, dude. So like whenever y'all were going and doing some of those, were you going into them with the mindset of like, yo, we're about to make some motherfuckers go crazy, like we're about to make some people hurt with this shit, with this?
Right. That was when I took my producer hat off and took my like executive producer Diddy. I put my Diddy hat on. Like, Mosh Pit was the instrumental for Mosh Pit, for the most part, was produced by Ricky Remedy. What's it called? Prison Riot was a collaboration with GTA where they did a large part of the like workload on that track. And so I started to like see the landscape get harder and harder. And instead of me trying to make music that wasn't necessarily authentic to me, I started finding producers, kind of like a Khaled. I started finding producers and finding people who could achieve that with my sense and with like the Flosstradamus sense of ability. Yeah. So typically what would happen on those kind of tracks like Mosh Pit, the collab with Nightmare, which is Lighters Up, any of Prison Riot.
Troy Boy, that one was fucking amazing.
Okay, so I'll tell you the story on a couple of those. Mosh Pit, I found Ricky Remedy on Instagram or Twitter. He sent a bunch of beats, and that was one of the beats I picked out. And like we made a whole bunch of shit together. We got together and just like cooked up. Then GTA were just homies of ours from like already. Like we were playing a bunch of their existing music in our sets, and so we just became friends because this was a time when no one had a following. So like GTA were like upstarts, Flustradamus were upstarts. Everyone was just trying to like be like, hey, we make the same kind of shit. Like,
Yeah.
oh, what's your name? Bauer? Oh, cool. Like
Wow.
let's make some stuff. Oh, what's your Gmail? Okay, cool. Like we're literally just like
What's
we're
your AIM?
creating. What's your aim? Yo, for real. That was at the time. It was like at the tail end of AIM. Like fucking RL, whatever. Like in my inbox, I posted pictures, like screenshots of it, being like, "Hey, this is my song. It's called the Harlem Shake." Like literally, people being like, "Yo, here's a demo I'm working on." But anyways, GTA kind of fit into that category where we'd come up with them, and we're like, "Yo, you guys could kill it with this song." So that happened. But typically, what it is they would do the workload, and then I would come in at the very end and just add my little drum fills and my little kind of like sauce. The Troy Boy record, though, was special. That was something where I'm a turntablist. Like before, like I got into DJing by just learning how to scratch, and I was really into like scratch music growing up, like in high school and shit. And there was every like scratch record had this sample of these guys saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, do it, and it would be hit. It'd always be that with a stab. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, do it, and like you could be like 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, like just like freak whatever that sample is. And so I sent Troy Boy a beat that was just like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, do it. Boom, boom,
Hell yeah.
just like super, super fucking stripped down, like basic shit. Just that sample and an 808 and a fucking snare. And he was like, okay, bet, I got you. And he sent back, in essence, what was the song that we released, minus my last little like fucking flares and then Kurt's mix. So I came back in and I fucking edited out some pieces and like added my little stutters and my little like kind of signature floss like awkwardness.
Yeah.
I made it. I like in the parts of the song where you have to like catch the beat again, that was me. And then Kurt mixed it and it fucking ended up being an anthem, man. Sound Clash is like,
it's amazing.
I don't know.
So it's
not to pat myself and Troy on the back, but that's one of the ones, man.
Yeah, I'll agree.
You can play that song. You can play that song today. That song's like 6 years old.
You can play most of those songs. 90% of those songs. Today. He's an animal, bro. Straight up, just animal in the studio for sure.
Stupid. And one of the nicest, most humblest, fucking most down to earth homies ever.
That's
legit.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. Dude, has anybody ever told you look a little bit like David Blaine?
Bruh, no, I never got that, but I thought that myself.
Yeah, you look like David Blaine, man.
Bruh, people used to tell me Terrence Howard, and I was like, I don't see it.
David Blaine, for sure.
David Blaine, for sure, man. For sure. Like,
I'm
going to be like, is this your card? No. Look in your butt crack.
Go ask your girl what that. I'm like, damn.
Yeah. Did you see his shit he did recently? He fucking dropped from those balloons.
Yes, dude. That was gnarly, man. That was... He's insane.
G.
He's insane. He's
what
insane.
A G.
Right.
Yeah.
He's absolutely insane.
Yeah. He went beyond magician a long time ago, man. Now he's just like a fucking like performance artist.
Yeah. Right. Dude, so what was it like getting Lil Jon on track?
Amazing. He's the most amazing like fucking dude ever. I was kind of half wishing he would be like the Chappelle skit where like when he's not on mic, he's like, well, actually, madam, the turn down for what beat? Like just like whatever, but no, he's not. He's like super crunk and just like, again, the nicest dude ever. Like the fucking most down to earth, humblest dude. Was open for whatever we sent him and whatever we like worked on him with or worked on with him. And like, yeah, I have nothing but good things to say about him. I didn't get to spend much time with him, but I'll say that Waka is somebody I got to spend a lot of time with and actually get in the studio with. And that motherfucker is, again, super humble, super dope. But I want to say this creatively, he took so many risks that people didn't give him credit for. Like, Hard in the Paint is still Hard in the Paint. If you listen to Hard in the Paint right now, it's still a mosh pit worthy song.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is he took a risk to make that song. He wasn't following any kind of shit that was already happening. It was just a thing that he did in that moment that is really organic and of that time. And he got a lot of flack for it. People put that song came out and it's like, it came out at a time where it was like more boom bappy and hip hop was starting to get a little bit more J. Cole-y and like more conscious. And he was like, oh no, we're going the opposite end of the spectrum.
We're getting turned.
It's just turned.
Yeah.
Like it's just that.
Yeah.
You got Kendrick and stuff where like it melds together and you're like, this song will make a mosh pit, but also he's like telling you how to cure like
some deep shit,
some like emotional problems.
Yeah.
We gonna be all right. Like you're like I'm turned to this and I'm in a mosh pit, but also at the same time, like I feel hopeful for the future. Waka was more like dystopian and apocalyptic, where it's like I don't feel hopeful for the future and I love it, And so I just want to shout out Waka because making those records with Steve Aoki and making those records with us in the early days, he risked a lot.
Yeah.
And he took those risks like without giving a fuck. So as a lyricist, don't even look at him through that frame. But as an artist and a performer, like one of the GOATs. Legend, easily for me.
Yeah, I agree on that, man. How does one get in touch with people like a Waka Flocka or a Lil Jon? Like, how does one even? Is that through labels or was that with like y'all just sending them tracks or them hearing it at a festival?
Bruh, it was just off of the name. Like
off the name Flosstradamus.
Yeah, I think that Waka we were hooked up with through either First from it's like his Instagram's Good Job First, but he used to be part of FKI, and that was like he was producing stuff for Waka, producing stuff for 2 Chainz at that time, like just an Atlanta producer that was a fan of ours, and then Heroes and Villains HXV, like Daniel from Heroes and Villains was a fan of ours, just on some musical shit, like. And shout out to Daniel, by the way, because before we were making like EDM trap, he was doing like these really electronic and like dubstep heavy remixes of like Roscoe Dash and like these kind of weird songs, or like ATL trap songs.
That's a fucking. You're right. That is a weird thing to remix for a dubstep track.
Dude, for real. But he was just ahead of the curve. He was literally just a little too early on it. And we were kind of doing a similar thing and hit it at the right time. So we immediately became homies. Shout out Daniel, Heroes and Villains. But it was like those connections, like Daniel was like, aside from being a DJ, he's also an engineer at like some of the biggest like street rap, like trap rap studios. And same with First, with like being associated with Waka and whatever. So these guys becoming fans made it so we could walk into those rooms and just be immediately accepted. So that's how we did it. That's not the only way to do it. But like when labels make it happen, it's always forced and weird.
Yeah.
When an artist who like say you're producing for a rapper, you like another artist, you show them to the rapper and the rapper likes them. That is like for me the ideal introduction.
Yeah, it's natural.
It's not like be on this beat because you're on the same label. It's like be on this beat because you chose it. Like you chose the artist,
Yeah. It's like I fuck with you, you fuck with me, let's do it.
Straight up.
Yeah. That's how I feel like I wish like getting artist featured were more like that, to where it was like maybe like an EDM artist is getting like a rapper on, and it's like, now it's like, okay, yeah, you got to pay me $5,000 for the feature or whatever. But I wish it was more like, yo, I fuck with that beat heavily, and I like this is different. Let's do it. I wish there was more of that.
Yeah, like I said, back to Spotify and whatever. Like the music industry is just not as democratic as it used to be. So there's not going to be the natural spread of information and of music that there once was, and hopefully there will be at some point in time. Everything goes in cycles.
Yeah.
So like everything eventually comes back around, and hopefully the second wave of like music renaissance is really cool. But I've been waiting for it for a while, you know, because I like to say that's when I thrive. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah.
I thrive when creativity is king and like engineering takes the back seat. And we haven't been in a moment like that for a minute, man. And especially EDM. Like you have artists like 100 Gex and like kind of some weird shit that's happening outside of that. Like even Caliucci's and Slater and like sort of on the queer end of the spectrum, like cool original shit. But on the straighty 180 EDM side, it's at the point where it's like, how hard can you go?
Yeah.
If that is the sort of like crux of the world, how hard can you go? There's a limit to it.
Yeah.
And eventually when it reaches that limit, it falls all the way back down to just like, okay, now we've gone as hard as we could possibly go for the technology. How creative can you go?
That's why like the weirder style of like bass music, like that whole Wakan vibe. Like I feel like that's why a lot of those artists are starting to pop off because it's not like the rage in your face. It's more of like just more of an idea, a cohesive idea. You know what I mean?
Right. It's the counter product. It's the pendulum swinging back and forth. It's like you got the hardest crazy festival shit, and there's gonna be an answer to it on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, that was actually something. That's a good point. Something I did want to ask you, man. So, hearing like the weirder trap stuff where you got like all the Lost Dogs, like the Easy Bakes, then you have like S Fam who's kind of doing like a shitty version of it. So it's just like, like, have you heard like this super weird like down tempo like trappy shit that's going on? Do you ever think like, fuck, bro, you impregnated that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I wish I could say I was more up on it, but I'm so not on it. All I listen to is like rap shit now. Like I really just listen to like, street rap and weird shit that comes through my inbox or comes through my lens. And then also a lot of soundtracks. I'm really listening to like a lot of like soundtrack music. I tend to not be super into, and even going back in the day to like Flosstradamus, whatever, I still was not really listening to a lot of trap music because I felt like it took my inspiration and made it more referential as like, I'm going to make something that sounds like this new trap artist. Like if I had gone and tried to make Troy Boy sound or something and I get some weird watered down version of it versus just listening to whatever I listen to and then applying like my shitty production style to it,
It's gotten better
so
over the years. Come on, it's gotten hella good at this point.
It's gotten a little better, but still not at the point where like like I don't know. I'll go in the studio with someone like Wookie, or I'll go in the studio with someone like Gammer, who are like these. They're these hybrids of creative and engineer. They're these hybrids of like they're super fucking creative and dope, but they're also really on top of their sound. And I'm sure you're an example, or like there's a lot of people that where it's like they have really good ideas and they can also like mix a fucking track or like master something for you. Mm-hmm. So I go and watch them work and I'm just like, nah, I'm not there. Like I'm a long way from that. So I still like to look at myself as a shitty, I'm a shitty artist. I like to put it like I'm just a weirdo with a laptop. I'm not actually a person. Like I'm not even a musician. I'm just like a person who has Ableton, who's like fucking tooled with it for long enough that I know how to make a beat. But I'll say this, man, with the stuff that's out there now and with the way that the music industry is now, I'm just trying to have a good time.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to have fun. I'm fortunate enough to have made money off of music and made a living off of it for 10 years. Now I'm just going crazy, bro. I got some crazy shit in the barrel. I got a whole EP of rap shit. Hold up, I just knocked the fucking fan over. I got a whole EP of rap shit that I'm gonna drop next year. I was gonna drop it this summer, but this summer didn't exist.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't make sense to drop something hot and then not be able to tour it. So I put the whole project on hold, but behind the scenes, I'm still writing beats and still making shit. And the creativity and the ingenuity that I brought to EDM is what I'm bringing to trap right now. My beats don't sound like, fucking Jetson Made or fucking Metro Boomin or whatever. Like my shit sounds weird. And if I can't be a weirdo in this space, like in the trap space, I'll be a weirdo in the rap space,
Hell yeah.
That's where I'm at right now.
That's what's up, dude. I've been working on a comedy album. for a little bit. You know, I do stand up comedy, and so I'm finding that
I didn't know that.
yeah, I'm finding that this is probably the hardest thing that I've ever done is make a comedy album, because you know I've been making it where it's like you have to write a funny song, which that's honestly like the easiest part of it. But you have to write a funny song that's actually good, like that people like would, even though it's funny, that they would still want to turn on in their car. So I'm
so
like,
not a stand up album, but like a comedy album, like
yeah.
Weird Al.
Yes, well, more like a Little Dicky, but yeah, I do stand up, so I thought it'd be really cool.
Yeah. So not so much parody.
Yeah, more of like actually
original.
like, yeah, his stuff is like, it's funny, but it's also very catchy and really good. And I'm finding that it's actually the hardest thing I've ever done is fucking this comedy album.
I mean, honestly, if you listen back to like Eminem and shit, like that was even comedy. Like there was so many of the punchlines. Sorry, I'm taking you to my kitchen now because I need to make another drink.
Do your thing.
So many of the
on?
punchlines. Right now, I got a little bit of some passion fruit LaCroix and some Tito's handmade USA. Okay, that's local.
It's local,
And that's
dude.
normally I'd be sipping on a beer, but your boy is on a diet right now. Your boy's trying to cut those calories. I'm on a calorie deficient diet right now.
I only drink beer on the weekends now. That's what I'm trying to stick to.
That's your health regimen?
I mean, I'm very active. I exercise every day, but it's very recent. So it's just like, you know, I'm trying to
but
cut
that shit doesn't matter at all if your diet's not right. Isn't that crazy? Like my exercise game is still, but was like for the last couple of years, like super crazy, bro. I was like, you know, doing high intensity intervals, mixing that with weight training, mixing that with like, I love to run. So I was doing like crazy cardio, and I saw no results because I would like do that and then like eat Burger King. Like I was eating like a fucking idiot. Like,
oh, dude, obviously you're eating like an idiot if you're eating Burger King. Burger King's the worst of the fast foods, in my opinion.
Bro, oh my God.
The worst.
It was so bad. And I'll say this: Burger King was just an example I pulled off top. My real fucking shit is Taco Bell, and like, straight up, man. I was like fourth meal. I would pull up late, you know.
Yeah, Taco Bell's where it's at, dude. You gotta get on that Whataburger game,
bro. Okay, so I live in Chicago for a majority of the year. Right now, though, because of the pandemic, I'm out here in Michigan. And like the fast food out here is it don't hit hit at all. It's all fucking McDonald's, Wendy's, shit in like truck stops, which is actually good for me because, you know, I'm trying not to eat that shit. And when you go and you have a McDonald's experience where it doesn't hit,
you're horrible.
Like, oh,
what did I do?
What is wrong with me?
I'm fucking a horrible person.
You feel dirty. You're like, I feel dirty after this.
Yeah, I'm like, I like go to church and start confessing my sins, and it's just me eating burgers.
Crying, just sobbing over your burger. Oh man!
Dude, are you a Bears fan?
Casual. I didn't play football growing up, so I'm a White Sox fan. I'm a big baseball guy.
Yeah. What you thinking, man? You thinking Trubisky's gonna pull through, or Nick Foles, or are you in it enough to know?
Those are the quarterbacks?
The quarterbacks, man. They brought in a $70 million quarterback, but they're playing Mitchell Trubisky right now, and I'm just like, what the hell are y'all doing? You don't bring in a $70 million quarterback to promote competition. You're like, no, that's usually your quarterback.
Right, put him on the field. You know, we've had such shitty quarterbacks for so long because I definitely was paying attention during the Jay Cutler era, and it was crazy because he was getting paid so much money and he was so terrible. So I don't know, you know, is the new guy, is the $70 million guy, is he a stud?
No, so the new guy won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, right? Went to the Jaguars, and the Jaguars traded his ass because he sucked. He sucked at the Jaguars. He just had a good year and won a Super Bowl. I don't know how. He had a really good year. And so the Jaguars got out of like a $90 million contract. It was now a $70 million now that's at the Bears. But now y'all probably have like almost $200 million just in contracts just for quarterbacks. And it's like, dude, y'all fucking up on that, man. So I'm waiting to see. I'm like, that's what I'm trying to see. It's like they played Mitchell Trubisky last weekend, but it's like, dude, y'all just paid another quarterback $70 million. Like, what are y'all doing? Y'all play one or the other.
So the $70 million guy is the one that won a Super Bowl with the Eagles?
Yes.
What's his name?
His Nick Foles. and
Oh,
Mitchell.
Nick Foles.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And so Mitchell Trubisky, I think he's like on his 4th or 5th year, and he just hasn't been good. But I don't know, man. That's I didn't know if you kept up with
Bro,
it or not.
in Chicago sports in general, minus the one World Series that the Cubs won in the last like 15 years, everyone's been in the middle. They've been like 500 teams,
Yeah,
like 500 average, and it's the worst place to be stuck in for any kind of team because you don't get a good draft pick, and you're not shitty enough to get a good draft pick,
you're
and you're not
right.
good enough to get to the fucking playoffs or even like out of the first round of the playoffs. And so you got the Bulls. I'll say this: I don't fuck with hockey at all, like literally at all. But the Blackhawks have been like a fucking like they were like a dynasty, So like in that window of time, they were winning Stanley Cups. But I don't care. I'm not watching that shit at all. Like for me, the Super Bowl. If the Bears won the Super Bowl, you know how fucking crazy that would be.
Yeah,
When the White Sox win the World Series, you know how crazy that is. When the Cubs won the World Series, that was like global news.
yeah.
Like, so it's like those kind of sports. I'm like, bro, we've just been right smack dab in the middle, just completely average, the worst place.
Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah, you're not shitty enough to get a good draft pick. Yep, that's a really good point.
No, just fucking tank, man. Just tank the team and rebuild.
That's the thing that
Get rid of everyone.
the players don't want to tank though because it's like they want to be able to have a job the next year. You know what I mean?
No, but I'm saying front office.
The
Get
front
rid of
office.
all the stars, all the big paychecks, get rid of all of them, bring in a bunch of promising rookies, have a whole rookie team, and rebuild. You're gonna
Yep.
if you have a rookie team, you're gonna be shitty the first couple of years.
Oh
And
yeah.
when you're shitty, you can start adding on. You start building on. Listen, I'm not management for a sports team. I have opinions on it, but I'm not in that position. I watch from the side. I watch from the sidelines, and just like
I have an opinion about this.
opinion. I wonder how far that'll get me here.
Right.
Oh,
That's amazing. Well, dude, I wanted to shift gears to YehMe2. Okay, so you're going from Flosstradamus, and you went into doing YehMe2 because of you wanted to. Is it more of a creative thing that you wanted right there, or was it just too much for you? Like, what was the main reasoning for going into YehMe2? And I'm sure you've talked about this in other interviews, and I probably should have read up about it, but this is where
no,
we're
no,
at.
no, no. It's totally fine. Just for the people that don't know, like, and the answers changed over years. Like when I first left, in my mind, I knew why I was leaving, but the way I talked about it and the way I presented it to the public was like, I wanted to be with my family, which was true, you know. But more than that, I had been meditating and had been really putting in a lot of work on myself and just like figuring out who I was, what I wanted. I've been on tour since I was 20 years old. So like my entirety of my 20s, I had like abandoned friends and like not being around like people in my city who I built friendships with and had just gone abroad and had lived on the road. So I was really like trying to just figure out who I was, what I wanted to do. And at the same time, me and Kurt's relationship began to deteriorate um, as a result of us being in completely different places as people, but then also being forced to be right on top of each other together 24/7 for however long. It was like a marriage,
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I was like, you know what? Like Kurt wanted the same thing, but he didn't want to do it. And I just was like, you know what? I'm at this point where I've achieved enough with this project. I'm ready to rip the Band-Aid off. And I made the call and said, hey, Kurt, I want to go a different direction. And it wasn't to say I wanted to leave music. I love making music. I love writing music. But it was more to say, I'm tired of being a curator and someone who like is finding producers to like write my songs. I want to go back to writing my own music and just making whatever the fuck I wanted to. And now, and at that point, I could do that because I could afford it. It
Yeah.
wasn't something where I needed money or I needed to take the next gig or whatever. We had a really successful career. We've made a bunch of money. And I was like, hey, you know what? I have enough money now that I can take more creative risks than I ever did. And yeah, that's a whole different conversation, like creative risks with financial security.
Yeah.
Um, but I'll say this, like that was a big part of it for me. It was the quality of our relationship had deteriorated, and then that mixed with me at a time where I was like, I just want to do something different. So
Yeah. And that's crazy, man. It's almost like, especially starting a new project, like a rebrand, like if you will, that shit's risky, and it doesn't work for a lot of people. But then you look at people like where people it has worked for, like Marshmello or something like that, which you're a lot
right.
different than Marshmello, that's for damn sure. But it's just like it is something that you had to do, and it's really it's respectable. Like there's a lot of integrity in that,
I appreciate that. With Marshmallow, it's something where he was anonymous, so it was like a whole new project. With me, it was more like it was very public. Like,
Yeah.
me from this group, and now I'm going to do another thing.
Was it? Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Finish.
No, no, no. Please interrupt. What do you want? What were you saying?
I was just like, was it cooler, or is it still cooler? Obviously not now because of the pandemic. Because Flosstradamus was like like a main stage festival act. You know what I mean? Was it really cool to kind of take a step back and just like go back to doing club shows? You know what I mean? Where it's like it felt a little bit I wouldn't say more underground, but just a lot more intimate and stuff like that.
For the first little bit, yeah, but then I started playing shows where no one came. Like I fell off. Like I got to a point where I would play a show and I'd be playing to a really small crowd, like, 3, 4 people, 5 people. And I was like, wait a second, this isn't working. So, and this was a deal that I had made with myself when I started the project, which was I want to be accountable for my own failures. When you're in a duo, something can fail and it can be put on another person. Or something can like a big thing that, I was working through with Kurt was I wanted to take the big risk and fail big. I was like, let's do the weird thing that like doesn't seem like it would work. And then it's almost like a gamble. Let's see if it hits. And if it hits, it's going to hit big, man. And I feel like he was more conservative where it was like, let's more do like these things. And so for me, doing this project was like me being like, hey, listen, I want to be accountable for my own failures, but I also want to have my own creative control. And so this pandemic has been amazing because for me, I felt like the show started to get kind of static. I didn't have my place in EDM. I had left the group, but the group continued to go. Flosstradamus was still being billed on shows. It wasn't like Kurt was being billed on shows or like DJ Autobot. It was like Flosstradamus, this Hoodie Nation, Warning Sign, the same songs. You get to go to the set. It's the same shit. It's our banger songs with a couple contemporary songs mixed in between, like, so the show still existed. I came out of it thinking that I was just going to be like, cool, easy street. I came out of this group, this poppin' ass group. I'm just going to take off. And no, I fell on my face. Like I definitely fell on my face. So I played some cool shows, and there's still some cool shows, but like the turnout of my shows started to completely fall off. And I was just like, okay, like now what do I do? You know? And the pandemic gave me a chance to figure that out and find an answer for that question.
That's crazy. So literally it was the pandemic that kind of got you back onto, back on track.
Yeah, definitely.
These streams and stuff. That's awesome, man.
It put me in front of a whole new audience. And that was the big thing for me is it's like, the Flosstradamus audience was dying already. Like it was kind of like the end of trap. And so it wasn't like I left this group at its peak. I left the group after it had peaked and plateaued and was starting to make its downward sort of turn. Because if you look at Flosstradamus now, it's not what it used to be. Yeah. And so it was sort of starting to make that turn, and I got off. And I feel like, at the timing of it, it didn't hit the way that I expected it to. I was definitely like more gassed up. But listen, to all the artists out there, what's your name?
My real name?
Your
My
real
artist
name?
Mitch.
Mitch, like
Josh.
I'm Josh. One of the craziest things is, and one of the best things in music and best things in creativity is failing and being humbled. Those things you can't teach. You can't fucking watch a YouTube tutorial and like get the knowledge. You have to fall on your face on some level. It's like with addicts. You have to hit rock bottom to like find your next chapter. And it's like for an artist, if you can actually try something crazy, and have it fall flat, there's so many lessons in that. There's so much information you gather from that. And that's information that you don't gather if you're just playing it safe and trying to sound like another artist or trying to sound like another style or whatever. So that's a big thing for me. So I said, I was like, I'm going to leave this group so I can fail on my own. And I left the group and I failed on my own. It's not necessarily what I wish would have happened. I would have loved to just like have Easy Street, but there have been a lot of lessons and the music reflects it, you know? Like I said, I'm holding back this project, but like the next chapter of this shit sounds different, and it needed to have that shock to the system to break out of the mold.
Hell yeah, I'm very excited to hear it, man.
I'll send you everything after we get off this this
rock and roll, bro. I'll send you a little something too you might enjoy.
By the way, I'll just say this. I just to like take a second to gas you up. You're one of the dopest out making trap shit, like the harder trap shit. Some of the first stuff I heard from you was like the more like almost like 50 BPMs, like really head banger, super slow, like knocky shit.
Yeah.
And I just want to say I'm a big fan, man. I fuck with you.
Dude, that means so much, bro. I'm speechless after that. You have no idea. Dude, because like I said, literally, like you were first electronic show was at you in 2013. And I was just a fucking drummer, and I was hearing this shit for the first time, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I remember I was like, you and Bauer were on the lineup, and it changed my life. I'm being for real.
At BOO, that was special too, by the way, just so you know. That show and like whatever, like in all the shit that happened, that show is up there for me as one of the best.
It changed my life.
That crowd was fucking insane. The production that they had in that room, where it was like those, they had fucking strobes. They had strobes and floods, but they had strobes all the way along to the back, and they weren't LED strobes. They were the proper atomics.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a fucking warehouse rave in London in like 1999, and then behind us were all the floats that they used for Mardi Gras.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, for us artistically, was like a fucking weird environment to be in, and then the crowd went crazy at that show. So that's one that sticks out in my mind for sure.
I was one of those guys in the crowd going crazy. I remember turning to my girlfriend at the time saying, what the fuck? Those were one of those shows, man.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Well, look, dude, I cannot thank you enough for coming on the podcast, man. It's been really great getting to talk with you, get to know you a little bit. And, man, I just can't say enough nice things, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course, Mitch. Thank you so much, man. It's good to meet another, boy from the Central Time Zone, Yeah, I'm Midwest, you're South, but we still straight up and down.
Hell yeah, brother. Yeah, me too, everybody. Talk to you later, buddy.
All right, later, guys. Take it easy.
And that was Mr. Yeah, Me Too, everybody. What an absolute legend. I literally was speechless right there at the end. He's gassing me up. A little flustered, you know what I'm saying? One of those moments, but I feel like I can compose myself very well on the cameras in front of him. What a fucking awesome guy. Very open to talking about everything too, man. I'm glad he was able to, willing to talk about his past with Lostradamus, even though he's doing the YehMe2. I still wanted to talk about that. Wanted to talk about it all. And we talked about everything and then some. So that was an amazing conversation. I had a lot of fun with that. I really hope y'all did too. But that's going to be it for this week's episode of Talks with TVBOO. Hope y'all have a great week. I will see y'all next week. And the guest next week is somebody that's been requested for a long time. So yeah, love y'all. Peace.